Hi, and welcome back. So, if you have followed my channel, you have seen my series of building the Vardo or Gypsy Wagon. I did 18 videos on the steps, well 17 on the steps, and one of a final summary of the steps and a video tour of the finished Gypsy Wagon inside and out. So when I got it done, I needed to get a camper title issued to it. I'm in Ohio, and every state has different laws and rules and regulations, but I was really concerned about this, and I searched high and low on the web, on YouTube, on all the forums I could find about campers and renovating campers and the Gypsy Wagon forums, and I couldn't get any information about what it was going to take. So that's why I made this video, to tell you what I went through and how I ended up being successful getting a title and a license plate for my Gypsy Wagon. So stay tuned and I'll tell you what it was about. Alright, so here's the story. This whole project began when I found a trailer alongside the road for sale. And it had been a camper that had leaked and the floor got rotted and there was mold in the walls, so the owner tore it apart, stripped it down to nothing but a bare metal frame, set it out alongside the road for sale. So I stopped and talked to him, and we sort of negotiated a price, but he didn't have a title. So before I bought it, I went home, called the title office, and told them the story. I told them what I had found and what I wanted to do. And this is where every title office, every person that works there is probably going to be a little different or tell you something maybe partly true, maybe pretty accurate, maybe not so much. So she said, well, the title that you had with it, or that he had, would be of no use anyway, because as it is, it's no longer a camper. It's a frame. It's a utility trailer. And it would be not even in Ohio titled because it weighs under 4,000 pounds. In Ohio, to be, if it has living quarters in it, it has to be titled as a travel trailer, and the plates have to say travel trailer. You can't get away with just having a trailer and then building a camper on it and saying you're hauling the camper. If there's living quarters in there, it better be a travel trailer title and registration. So anyway, so she said, so go ahead and build it. When it's done, you'll have to go to the salvage inspection yard that the State Highway Patrol runs, and there's like 8 locations in Ohio, and the closest to me would be Cambridge, Ohio, so that's where I would go for my inspection. So I built a Gypsy Wagon. Okay, so I came back to stick this in here. The first step, you have to go to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles and pay a $55 inspection fee. They give you a piece of paper that gives you a right to haul that camper to the inspection, and the receipt that you'll need at the inspection, the receipt for the payment of that inspection fee. So that's the first step. Then you schedule the inspection. So as I got it done, and it was time to get it inspected and get a title and get plates, That's when things got a little bit sketchy, and boy, I lost sleep a few nights. So I'll give you the details here and maybe help you avoid some of the stress and sleepless nights that I went through. So as it got to be closer to time to get it inspected, I went to the Ohio State Highway Patrol Salvage Inspection Yard website. And there's a lot of information on there. Some of it pertains to salvage, and some of it pertains to self-assembled. And you have to kind of weed through it and decide what applies to you. And one of the biggest things is keep your receipts for everything. Luckily, that's one thing that the lady did tell me when I called the title office. And I had every receipt from Menards, every receipt from Home Depot, every receipt from, I had Harbor Freight, and a couple things from like True Value Hardware or Ace Hardware. I had every receipt. eBay receipts are no good whatsoever unless they're from a business. Like if you buy, for example, I bought my water tank from a camper supply house, and they sent me a business invoice from their business. An eBay receipt from a private individual is worthless. Got to be a business. And that wasn't an issue in my case. So I had every receipt. And all I had them on a clipboard, and I had a mess of them. And he laughed when he saw them and kind of gave me hell for not being very organized. But that's another story. Okay, so then there's the issue of the trailer. It was bought from an individual, not a business, and I didn't have a title. I did have a bill of sale. So when I actually just called the salvage yard before I actually scheduled the appointment, and double checked on what I needed to bring with me. And I told him that I didn't have a title, but I did have a bill of sale. And first thing he asked is the bill of sale notarized, and it was not. But I went back to the guy I bought it from, which was coincidentally down the road half mile, so that was handy. I made up a new bill of sale and picked the guy up and took him to a bank and got the bill of sale notarized. He also, in the meantime, had found an old registration for the license plates that he had on the old camper, and he gave that to me, which ended up helping in the long run, but he still couldn't find the title. So now I had a notarized bill of sale, but no title. And the guy that I talked to at the salvage yard, when I told him that, said, "Oh boy, that's not good. You really need to have that title." And I said, "Well, he can't find it. What can I do? I've built this thing." And I was told at the title office that it wasn't a problem, that with an inspection, you'd issue a new title. And he said, "Well, they shouldn't have told you that. But schedule an appointment, come for an inspection, and bring everything you have." So that's what I did. But that's the reason I had a lot of sleepless nights. So April 10th finally rolled around, day of inspection, scheduled for 11 o'clock. I had an hour drive. To be safe, I left 2 hours early and drove, it was about 70 miles or so, I would say, down the interstate to get the inspection made. So I'll let you know how that went. So here I am sitting outside waiting on the inspection, and about 11:15, guy opens the door and yelled out to me. He said, "You have your paperwork? Bring it on in." So in I went with a big pile of receipts and probably looked kind of nervous, and I made the comment, "Boy, I hope this passes. I got a lot of money in this thing, so I really need to get a title." And the first thing he said to me is, "Well, not to burst your bubble, but self-assembleds rarely do," which made me feel great. Anyway, so he starts weeding through my mess of paperwork and basically looked up and just gave me holy hell for not being more organized and having everything together better. But he found the receipt where I had paid for the inspection. He said, "All right, that's the first thing I need." And then he found the bill of sale, which was notarized, and he said, "But without a title, how do I know this guy owned this thing? This could be anybody." And I said, "Well, sir, there's a registration in there with his name on it where he had bought plates, and that registration had the VIN number on it. And I think that's what saved my tail. That registration with his name and the VIN number, matching the notarized bill of sale with his name on it, made a paper trail that was enough that satisfied him." And he said, "All right, pull it in bay one. Let's take a look at this thing." So the first thing he did was find the VIN number on the tongue of the trailer. Walked around, looked at the lights, checked it over, and asked me to unlock the back door. He walked inside, looked around, took some pictures, took pictures of the outside and the inside. And then he said, "Okay, you can go ahead and back it out, and then come on back inside." Okay. So when I went back inside, he just had me sit in a waiting area while they had a discussion, and I could overhear part of it. And the one guy kept saying it's not a camper. The other one, "Well, I don't know what we're going to do. Well, we could just do it as a trailer." "Well, but he needs treble trailer title." "Well, but it's not a camper." So anyway, they finally called me up here. And here's what he said. He said, technically to be a camper, it has to have 4 things. It has to have a bed. It has to have a surface on which to eat. It has to have a means of refrigerating food. And it has to have a means of cooking and preparing food. Now, I had a bed. I have my dinette. I had decided not to install the cooktop inside because friends of ours that camp say you don't ever use them inside because it makes the camper too hot. You're going to cook outside anyway. So we had put that off. And we were going to put a refrigerator in and planned on it, but we just hadn't found one that we liked yet. We just hadn't got it. I told him all that, and he said, "What you have and what you're going to have is 2 different things. I have to inspect based on what you have." He said, "But I'm going to pass it." He said, "But I'm going to pass it as a trailer." He said, "Then what you're going to do is go to the title office after you have put in a cooktop and a refrigerator, and then they'll come out and confirm that you now have what qualifies as a camper, and they'll have you sign an affidavit that you've transformed it from a trailer to a camper, and then they'll issue a camper title." He said, "It's a long way around, but it'll get you there." And I said, "Hey, you know what? As long as it gets me there." So he filled out the paperwork, explained to me that the paperwork he gave me would give me the right to haul it around without plates on it to continue to fulfill what I needed to do. So, and he also put a real fancy State Highway Patrol stamp on the notarized bill of sale and on the paperwork that he had now issued me. And all of that about the refrigerator and cooktop were noted on the paper that he gave me that would go to the title office then. So that was good news. We passed. That was, you know, we're getting there. So I left there. So I went home and got a portable propane grill that we have, which is what we plan to use. And we could use it inside with all the windows open and outside on a picnic table when, you know, when it's nice out. And I know they use those a lot of times in pop-ups, and they're Titleist travel trailers, so I was hoping that would get me by. So I got the grill, then I headed for Lowe's, and I bought a refrigerator, and actually found one that was everything we were looking for that we hadn't found before. So I bought the refrigerator. So I was hoping they wouldn't care that it wasn't set in place. It was still in a box, set it in the back of the camper. And went to the title office. So I went in there and I told them the story. I said, you know, you need to come out to the camper and inspect. She said, we don't inspect anything. What are you talking about? I said, well, look right here. On this paper that they gave me at the inspection, it said that you would come out and confirm that I now had a camper, that it now had a means of refrigerating food, cooking food, a bed, and a surface on which to eat. And she said, you don't need any of that stuff for a travel. She said, it's a travel trailer, right? I said, yeah. Pull behind. She said, yeah. She said, all that stuff he's talking about is required for a motorhome, but not for a travel trailer. All you need for a travel trailer is a bed. I got that. She said, you're fine. When she said you're fine, I shut up. They issued a title. It is titled as a 2019 self-assembled travel trailer. I'm good. So then I was off to the BMV, Bureau of Motor Vehicles, to get a license plate. So I walked in there and nobody was even ahead of me. I never had that happen before. Girl at the counter said, come on up. So I walked on up to the counter and she said, what can I do for you? And I said, I built a camper. I had it inspected. I got a title. Here's the title. Now I need a plate. And she said, oh, is that cute little gypsy wagon we saw pull in the parking lot? Yeah, that's it. That's it. She gave me a license plate. Oh, she didn't give it to me. She sold it to me. But that's all we needed. We're done. So, some of the information I was given by those that are supposed to know wasn't 100% accurate. A lot of it was really helpful. I will say this. They are very thorough to make sure that what you build is roadworthy, safe to be on the road, meets all the safety requirements, and that it is legitimately yours and not stolen. They are very thorough, but they are not anal. I got it done. You can too. So here are the major steps that you go through in the state of Ohio to get a gypsy wagon or any kind of home assembled or self-assembled, technically is the term, self-assembled camper. Number one, you go to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles and you pay a $55 inspection fee. They give you a paper and a receipt, and that gives you the right to haul it on the day of inspection to get it inspected. Step two, you schedule online on the website for the Ohio salvage inspection website. And like I said, there's two types of inspections. One is salvage, one is self-assembled. You would be doing the self-assembled. You schedule it online. You get a confirmation number. Go to the inspection, and when you go to the inspection, make sure you have documentation. If you don't have a title, you definitely need to have a bill of sale that's notarized and anything else you can come up with that'll provide evidence of a paper trail from the rightful owner to you as the new rightful owner. That's number 2. Also have every receipt for every part that you put on that self-assembled camper, Vardo, gypsy wagon, trailer. Once the inspection's complete and passed, you get the paper and go to the title office. You get a title issued in your name. You leave the title office, you go to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, you get a license plate. Okay, so I jump back in here to tell you one more thing. I have heard you can't insure something that you built. That you can get liability insurance on it, or that you're covered if you're pulling it with your vehicle that's insured, but you can't insure the actual camper. So I happen to have Liberty Mutual insurance on my vehicles and my home both. And I called them and I said, you know, you're not going to probably insure it, but I just wanted to ask, can't hurt to ask. I built a camper, and it's been inspected by the State Highway Patrol, and it passed, and I got a title, and I have license plates on it, and I was really hoping I could insure it. She said, oh, hang on a minute. Put me on hold. Came back about a minute later and said, yeah, they say that's not all that uncommon. There's a lot of those. I'm like, oh, okay. Can I insure it? She said, yeah, how much you want to insure for? I said, let's do $10,000. She said, okay, $10,000, collision and comprehensive. Yep. So I said, so if it's in a campground and a tree falls on it, it's covered? Yep. What if it's not hooked to the vehicle? Still covered. How much? $58 a year. Done. So, don't believe everything you hear. That's the steps it takes. And that was my experience with it. And I hope this helps. You know, I had a lot of sleepless nights when I started worrying about not having that title. And I looked on YouTube, I searched the internet, I Googled, I looked on forums, I looked on everything I could find, trying to find something that'd make me at least feel a little bit better about the process and if I was going to be successful. And I couldn't find anything. You know, you go to the forums and you say, hey, I don't have a title and what's going to happen? And everybody, oh, well, you're just screwed. Oh, well, you can't do it. Oh, well, yeah. You know, armchair attorneys. And so you can do it. And I hope this helps somebody out and put your mind at ease. So happy trails. I'll see you in the campgrounds with my new gypsy wagon. It's got a title and plates on it.